is that the Central Bank of Nigeria is going to confine itself to regulation. It's going to establish fair principles, and then the market will determine the pricing. And when the government likes and they think the rate of exchange is abnormal, they intervene by putting money into the market, not by unorthodox methods of determining price. Price cannot be determined by regulators. Once regulators try to do that, everything falls apart. I'm just using this as examples. The same thing will happen petrol pricing. What are you going to see? With the price of oil going as we expected to go as high as $60 a barrel, Bank of America just released a report this morning saying that the median price is going to be about $60. The high point will be about $70, which is good for us. It is 30% higher than our benchmark price. So our revenues will improve as long as we can get the Niger Delta militants to stop on Nigerian activities. And I'm sure that engagement is taking place. So you can see that the government is struggling and trying, and Buhari said yesterday that please give me time, bear with me, we need to get things done. So he is aligned, he understands, he is beginning to understand, and he now understands that people are suffering and he needs to react very quickly. And that's what I see. On Friday we had the Minister of Finance rolling out the fiscal policy very eloquently. Okay, and Alama also put his clear investment process, and they've set up all sorts of teams within the government. These things take time to materialize, but they are beginning to happen. However, what I think will happen in 2017 is that the collective followership in Nigeria, the Nigerian people are going to hold the government accountable. You can't just make promises. The promises must be factual, must be grounded, must be translated into reality. We must feel much more comfortable. Our living standards must improve. They cannot continue to deteriorate, and nobody is going to carry along if that is the case.
So if you want to have your living standards improved, if you want to have more foreign direct investments coming in, you also have to make sure, as we already said at the beginning, doing business has to be done in a very conducive way.
Absolutely.
So in terms of trying to reform, we're going to, most Nigerians are saying, let's even start talking about the regulatory environment, reforming them first, to make sure that it's easier for you to come in and do business without having any issues.
Yes, I agree with you. You see, but there's the regulatory framework, and there's the regulatory environment, and then there are the regulations, and then there's the enforcement. The framework is very clear, and that has to be clear, that a regulator is not a market maker. A regulator is not a combatant. A regulator is a collaborator for progress, is a partner in progress. A regulator implements policies that are consistent with the policy. So if the minister is saying one thing, the regulator should be consistent with that, and the operators should realize that. And if any operator deviates and tries to do anything smart, like export credit grants and all, there have been abuses. So abuses will be corrected, infractions will be punished, but punishments are not slaps on the wrist, but also are not death penalties. And that is what we are saying, that we should recognize the role and the contribution of companies. If Standard Chartered has brought in a lot of technology here, have brought best practices, they should be recognized. And if there's an infraction, they should be punished, but not killed. The same thing in the technology space. And that is very important. We keep on talking about the MTN is a very clear example of a company that has invested a lot, that has been misunderstood, and then has been virtually crucified, right? And that is what you need to correct. You need to send the example. Now that the government has actually reduced that fine, it was a move in the right direction. But we now have to make things much more consistent, more stable, clarity, and consistency.
Bismarck Rewani, CEO of Financial Derivatives Company, thank you so much for joining us on the program today and sharing your perspectives with us. Business Morning continues in just a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back. Closing moments now on the program. Of course, as I said at the start of the program, today is a public holiday, and so the markets are silent, the machines are silent, not until tomorrow when everybody will be back trading those numbers very actively. Let's remind you of what we're expecting to happen this week. I talked about it already on the program with the CEO of Financial Derivatives Company, Mr. Bismarck Rwani, talking about the 2017 budget. The projections contained about 7.28 trillion naira is what is being proposed for 2017 by the executive, and the president will be presenting that to a joint sitting of the National Assembly this week on Wednesday. And the proposed budget represents an increase of about 20% from the 6.70 trillion naira 2016 budget. As I mentioned, $42.50 per barrel is what has been proposed for oil benchmark, and the daily crude oil production is at 2.2 million barrels per day, and a naira-dollar exchange rate of 290, which is actually very debatable and contestable, especially in line with economic realities. So that might likely change, but with the recent announcement by Bank of America that oil prices may hit a mid-range of about $60 per barrel, $42.50 is not looking too bad if we have that as our oil benchmark. And the Senate has said that even though President Muhammadu Buhari will present the 2017 appropriation bill, they will not consider the bill until the 2017-2019 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper it is currently working on is passed, because they say some of the projections in that document are unrealistic. Also on tap, Nigeria Senate will hold a stakeholders public hearing on trade and investment issues. The hearing seeks to repeal the Consumer Protection Act and in its stead establish a new federal competition and Consumer Protection Commission, as well as Competition and Consumer Protection Tribunal, talking about ensuring ease of doing business. The Senate public hearing will also push for an act to scrap the Nigeria Export Processing Zone Authority and replace it with a new Nigeria Development and Zones Commission. So the markets reopen tomorrow. Talking about the equities market now in particular, we saw the week ending positive. The all-share index and market capitalization notching up 0.30%. So let's talk to Rotimi Fakaijo and see what he expects the market to look like when it reopens tomorrow. Good morning to you, Rotimi.
Good morning, Harriet.
It's great to have you join me on the program. It's a public holiday, so thank you so much for making time out to speak with us. Give us a sense of what you're expecting or how you're expecting to see the Nigerian equities market open tomorrow.
Well, we've seen 2 weeks consecutive closing positively, at least the last week and the week before then. And I want to believe that we're going to continue in that same state this week. And this time around, we're going to see more equities joining the gainers chart. And those that are being on the losers chart are definitely going to either trade flat or come on board the gainers chart. And what the gain for the week that just ended was just very not much significant. But I think we will have much more than that coming this year, because there are transactions coming from foreign portfolio investors in trickles, and I want to believe that such is going to increase as we enter into a new week. So I believe that the market definitely is going to be better than what we saw last week.
All right, Rotimi, thank you so much for sharing your perspectives with us, and of course we'll talk to you again tomorrow when the markets reopen for business. Rotimi Fakaijo is the CEO of Enterprise Stockbrokers and an equities trader with the Nigerian Stock Exchange, giving us his projections for how trade will resume tomorrow when the markets, of course, resume activity. And that's it on today's edition of Business Morning. Thank you so much for staying with us. I'm Harriet Agbenyi. Enjoy your holiday.